because the world changed, but because you finally woke up. You felt it before, that hollow emptiness that hits after you've helped someone and nothing changes. The soul-crushing exhaustion of pouring everything into someone only to realize it was for nothing. The quiet betrayal of discovering your kindness was just fuel for someone else's manipulation. And here's the truth no one tells you. The problem wasn't your generosity. It was your inability to recognize who you were helping. Today, we're going to reveal 6 dangerous personality types that will drain your life force if you don't learn to see them. Types that hide behind convincing masks. Types that turn your compassion into your greatest vulnerability. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at people the same way again, because recognizing these types isn't about morality. It's about survival, psychological survival. Let's start with something fundamental most people miss. There's an imbalance in awareness. When you start catching patterns others can't see, you feel alone. You spot the toxic stuff happening while everyone around you keeps feeding into it. And that loneliness, it can mess with your head, make you question if you're the crazy one. But here's what Jung discovered. We attract what we haven't integrated. The people who drain you don't appear by chance. They are mirrors of parts of yourself you haven't yet recognized or healed. The eternal victim? They might be reflecting your own reluctance to take power over your life. The exploiter? Perhaps mirroring boundaries you never learned to set. And there's a dilemma every giver faces. How to distinguish authentic generosity from unconscious codependency. How to know if you're truly helping or just feeding a never-ending cycle. The answer lies in learning to read behavioral signatures, and the first of them is perhaps the most common. Type 1, the eternal victim. You know this person. Every single conversation is about their problems. Zero curiosity about your life. Zero space for your own struggles. It's a one-person show pretending to be a conversation. And here's the unmistakable pattern. They reject all solutions. You offer practical advice, ignored. You share resources that could help, dismissed. You suggest therapy, career changes, difficult conversations that need to happen. And always the same response. Yes, but you don't understand my situation. Yes, but that won't work for me. Yes, but I've already tried everything. That yes, but? It's not random pushback, it's a defense mechanism. See, for the eternal victim, getting better would mean losing everything. They've built their whole identity around being a victim. Without the suffering, who are they? But there's something darker going on. The victim gets huge payoffs from staying stuck. They get endless attention. They control people with guilt. They get excused from responsibility. How could you expect that from me after what I've been through? In Jungian language, they have completely disowned their own power and projected it onto the cruel world out there. Their shadow, all the strength and agency they possess but refuse to recognize, remains exiled. And as long as this exile continues, they will remain trapped. But why does this drain you specifically? Because it sets up a dynamic of emotional vampirism. The victim is constantly feeding on your empathy, but never giving any back. You pour in energy, validation, time, attention, and what do you get in return? More pain to listen to, more problems to fix, more crises that somehow never actually end. And you, the giver, become an enabler. Each time you offer salvation, you prevent their necessary transformation. You remove the natural consequence that would force growth. You become part of the cycle. The victim also violates boundaries through guilt manipulation. You're the only person who understands me. Without you, I don't know what I'd do. It sounds like gratitude. It's sophisticated emotional blackmail. So how do you spot this before they drain you dry? Ask yourself, do they actually fix anything, or do they just want sympathy? Try this simple test. Next time they bring you a problem, skip the emotional comfort. Offer practical action instead. Let's sit down right now and make a plan. Watch their reaction. If they push back, dodge, or come up with new excuses, you've got your answer. And watch for this. Do they actually celebrate when good things happen to you? Or do they find a way to bring it back to their own problems? When you share a win, do they genuinely celebrate, or do they pivot back to their suffering? The pattern always reveals the truth. Crisis, you help. Temporary relief, new crisis, endless. Now let's move on to the second type, and this one is more predatory. Type 2, the exploiter. The exploiter tests your limits right away. It starts small, a quick favor, a small loan. One little exception, and every time you say yes, you just raise the bar for next time, that $50 loan. Next week it's $200, then $500. Then can you cover my rent? The progression is so slow you don't see it happening until you realize you're trapped. But notice the one-way street. The exploiter takes without hesitation. But when you need something, suddenly there's always a reason. Money's tight right now. I'll help you next week. Or worse, they offer to help, but load it up with conditions and resentment, so you end up sorry you asked. One of the exploiter's best tricks is fake vulnerability. They tell you secrets right at the beginning, not because they trust you, but to manufacture closeness and make you feel obligated. Suddenly you're close friends, you really understand them, and now you owe them loyalty. Here's the pattern. Charm, ask, escalate, dump. They're super charming at first. They shower you with attention, compliments, time. You feel special. Then comes the first ask, small, totally reasonable. You help. Then they escalate. You keep helping. And the second you finally say no, they either ghost you or lash out. I thought we were friends, after everything we've been through together. Psychologically, the exploiter operates from a place of deep narcissistic entitlement. The world owes them. When someone's kind, they see it as weakness, an opportunity to take. It's pure Machiavellianism. People aren't friends, they're tools to be used, and there's a constant emotional calculation happening. What can I get? Versus the minimum I need to give to maintain access. For you, the giver, this is a trap. Every yes you give raises their expectations for next time, and when you finally try to back up, the guilt bomb drops. I can't believe this. You were there for me before, but now when I really need you, the imbalance is brutal. You invest your heart, your time, your money. They invest strategically, just enough, always with the expectation of getting something back. There's something dark here philosophically. The exploiter sees kindness and thinks weakness, an opening to take. They've flipped the script. To them, the generous person is weak, a doormat, and they're the strong one taking what they want. But healthy relationships have balance. It doesn't have to be perfect or scorekeeping, but there's give and take. I help you, you help me. I celebrate your wins, you celebrate mine. That's what real connection looks like. The explorer doesn't see relationships, they see transactions. So how do you spot them before they drain you? Look at the give and take. Over 6 months, are you putting in as much as you're getting back? Or is it always one way? Test it. Say no to one request, something totally reasonable. Watch what happens. Do they guilt you, get angry, disappear? That tells you everything. Check the timing. Do they only appear when they need something? Do texts only come in when they want a favor? Or are they actually around for the normal stuff, celebrating with you, just hanging out when there's nothing to gain? You know these people. The coworker who borrowed money over and over but forgot when you asked for help. The friend who calls when their life's falling apart but never when you have good news. The family member whose emergencies always seem to pop up right when you're setting boundaries. These aren't accidents, they are patterns. And patterns reveal personality. The victim drains through guilt. The explorer drains through entitlement. Both turn your compassion into fuel for dynamics that never end. But these first two are obvious once you know their signatures. The next two are much more dangerous because they wear the mask of intelligence and success. Type 3 will challenge everything you think you know about who deserves your help. Because what happens when the person destroying themselves is highly intelligent, extremely successful, and absolutely refuses to see it? Let's find out. Intelligence and success don't immunize against dysfunction. Sometimes they disguise it. So if you've made it this far, you're already ahead. You can spot the victim and the exploiter. You see the patterns, you recognize the tactics. You know when someone's using guilt on you or treating you like an emotional ATM. But the next types, they're seductive because they look like they've got it figured out. They talk about transformation. They drop psychological terms. They seem to have deep insights about themselves. And that's exactly what makes them dangerous. These are the people who will make you question your own sanity. Type 3, the self-saboteur. On the surface, the self-saboteur looks like they're worth helping. They're self-aware. They analyze their own patterns with scary precision. They can articulate exactly what's wrong with them psychologically. The problem? They never actually change, ever. Look at the signs. They understand their patterns perfectly, but take zero action. They can describe their dysfunction with real psychological insight. But here's the killer pattern. They repeat the same mistakes, different situations, same outcome. And they act shocked every time it happens. It's always the same cycle. Deep insight, makes a big plan, sabotages it, analyzes why they sabotaged it, repeats. Let's understand the psychological motivations behind this. Jung spoke about shadow integration. The self-saboteur sees the shadow perfectly. They can describe it in detail, but they completely refuse to integrate it because real integration demands confronting the core shame that sustains their entire psychic structure. There's an unconscious addiction to suffering. They've built their whole identity around being broken. That's their comfort zone. And here's the darker part. They actually get something from analyzing why they don't change. If they can just explain it perfectly, articulate the psychology deeply enough, they don't have to actually do anything. It's genius in a twisted way. Why does this drain empathetic people so much? First, false hope. They're smart, so smart that you think this time will be different. They can articulate the problem so clearly, you can't see how they won't fix it. But they don't, over and over. Second, you become their free therapist. You're analyzing what they won't change. You're having endless conversations trying to help them see something they refuse to look at. Third, jealousy. Your growth makes them uncomfortable, so they start subtly undermining you. You're pushing yourself too hard. You're losing your balance and anything to keep you from outgrowing them. And fourth, and this is the trap, you see their potential. They see their familiar dysfunction. So you end up wanting their transformation more than they do. How do you spot this in real life? Track understanding versus action. Do they actually do anything with what they know? Or is it all talk and zero action? The same problem test. 6 months later, is the same issue still happening? Despite all those breakthroughs? Accountability check. When something goes wrong, do they own it? Or do they just analyze their way out of it? Well, my parents didn't give me what I needed, so that's why. Is this responsibility or another therapy session? The progress check. Are they in the exact same spot they were 2 years ago? Still talking about the same issues, still not changing? The bottom line. Nietzsche said life is about constantly becoming more. The self-saboteur talks the talk, but never walks the walk. Jung would say, understanding without real change is just hiding behind intelligence. And existentially, it's choosing the lie, because the truth is too scary. Let me give you a narrative example you'll likely recognize. Your friend who can tell you exactly why his relationships fail. He knows his patterns, his abandonment issues, how he picks unavailable people. Then he does it again, same toxic person. You ask, and he says, I get it now. This time I'll set real boundaries. Spoiler, he doesn't. Or the colleague who perfectly understands her procrastination problem. She's read all the productivity books, knows all the psychology, but never actually changes anything. There's always a reason why that system won't work for someone like me. Or the family member who's been in therapy forever, quotes psychology books at dinner, can discuss concepts you don't even know exist, but actually changing. Not a chance. Because changing would mean admitting they're not helpless victims. Here's the compassionate truth you need to hear. This isn't about judgment. It's about recognizing that you can't want change for them more than they want it for themselves. Your help can't replace their willingness to actually do the work. And analyzing their patterns with them, at some point that becomes enabling them to avoid change. Type 4, the energy vampire. This one sneaks up on you because the beginning feels great. The energy vampire is charming. They pull you in with seeming depth and realness. Conversations feel meaningful. You walk away thinking, finally, someone who gets me. But pay attention, they're talking at you, not with you. There's tons of emotion, but zero real curiosity about your life. You feel empty, not full. And here's the giveaway. They suck you in hard, overwhelm you with their presence, and you need days to recover from hanging out with them. That's not connection, that's a feeding. Here's what's happening psychologically. The energy vampire runs on narcissistic supply. Your attention, your validation, your energy keeps them feeling alive. Without it, they feel dead inside, so they unconsciously use you to fill the void. Your energy becomes their fuel. They're performing intimacy. They confess personal stuff to create false closeness, but there's no real vulnerability. It feels deep, but it's just theater. And they compensate for their lack of real empathy with charm. They understand connection intellectually. They can fake it perfectly. But you're left empty. They're full. That's the deal. Why does this drain empathetic people so much? First, it's a one-way street disguised as connection. They extract emotional energy while pretending to give it back. You leave drained, but guilty. We had such a meaningful talk, so you blame yourself. Second, they guilt you when you pull back. I thought we had something special. Why are you pulling away from me? It's manipulation wrapped in hurt feelings. Third, sensitive people absorb their chaos. You soak in their intensity and think it's depth. But it's just noise, no substance. Fourth, the confusion about reality. They seem so real, so emotional. How could this be fake? But the truth. Real connection feeds both people. This only feeds one. How do you spot them? After hanging out, do you feel filled or emptied? Real connections energize you, even tough ones. This type, even when they seem positive, you're drained. Do they ask about your life with real interest, or does every conversation circle back to them? Time yourself. In an hour together, how many questions do they ask that actually let you talk, versus just setting up their next story? When you're not available, do they respect it, or do they get mad? Are you avoiding me? I thought you cared about us. You're not who I thought you were. And check the depth. Is what they share real or just impressive theater? Are you growing from knowing them? Or just feeling temporarily special because you're their audience? Here's the psychology. There's something called emotional contagion. Empathetic people absorb the chaos around them. You soak up their turbulence and think it's your own problem. And there's the narcissistic supply dynamic. They need your attention to feel real. Without you watching, they basically cease to exist. So they pull and pull and pull. Healthy boundaries matter here. Real connection leaves both people energized. If you need a recovery week after seeing someone, that's not intimacy. That's invasion. The difference is clear. Real connection. Balanced, both people care, energizing even when it gets heavy. Vampire feeding, one way, fake depth, draining even when it looks good on the surface. Real-world examples. The friend who always has the bigger crisis. You're going through hell, but the conversation somehow ends with you comforting them about their minor problem. The co-worker who dominates every meeting with their amazing stories while making everyone else invisible. Everyone thinks they're fascinating. You leave meetings wiped out and unheard. The person you dated, who overshared intimate stuff, early making you feel like you had something real, and then ghosted when you needed them. You're too intense. I just wanted casual. The core truth. The energy vampire mistakes consumption for connection and acting for being. They're feeding on your life energy to fill their emptiness power gone parasitic. If you've seen yourself in these 4 types, you know the damage. The victim makes you feel guilty. The exploiter takes advantage. The self-saboteur wastes your time and hope. The energy vampire sucks you dry. But the last 2, they're the most dangerous. They don't just hurt you. They twist your own goodness into a weapon against you. Type 5 will make you doubt reality itself. They don't just drain you. They make you wonder if maybe you're the problem. And Type 6 is genuinely the most dangerous. What happens when the person hurting you is someone everyone sees as a saint? Feel that? These final 2 don't just extract from you, they warp reality around you. You already know 4 types. You can spot their patterns. But what I'm about to show you is darker. The first 4 are exhausting, that's true. But these next 2 will make you question your grip on reality, your own judgment, your own morality. The truly dangerous ones aren't the obvious attackers. They're the ones who use goodness as a weapon. They hide behind caring while tearing you apart. And if you're empathetic and generous, you're exactly what they hunt for. The 5th type, the covert narcissist. On the surface, they're hurting, humble, self-sacrificing. They pull on every protective instinct you have. But underneath that wounded martyr mask is one of the most dangerous kinds of narcissism you'll encounter. Watch what happens. You help them. You expect gratitude. Instead, you get punishment. Cold shoulder, silent treatment, guilt trips. I gave you everything. You couldn't even do this one thing. Then come the reality twists. I never said that. You're too sensitive. That didn't happen. This is gaslighting, systematically making you doubt your own memory. And watch for false humility. I'm not like those other people, and sounds modest. But it's contempt disguised as kindness. It's narcissism turned inward. The pattern never changes. You help, they subtly punish you. You feel guilty for being selfish. Repeat, the psychology here is dark. The covert narcissist hides enormous ego behind victimhood. I've suffered, so I deserve special treatment. But their ego is fragile. Any hint of criticism wounds them deeply, and they retaliate in sneaky ways. It's backwards narcissism. Instead of needing obvious praise, they get their narcissistic supply from being rescued and pitied. You prove your love by suffering for them. And the cruelest part? They project. They accuse you of being selfish and narcissistic, the exact things they're doing, but refuse to see. Why does this destroy empathetic people? First, reality erosion. You stop trusting your own memory, your own judgment. Did I say that? Am I being oversensitive? Am I crazy? Second, guilt becomes a weapon. Your boundaries prove you're cruel, selfish. How could you not help someone so wounded? Third, you're trapped. You can't leave without feeling like you abandoned a helpless person. Fourth, and this is the real trap, the power dynamic flips completely. You started as the helper. Now you're being controlled by someone claiming to be the victim. How do you spot this? After you help them, do they appreciate it or punish you for not doing enough? When you give gentle feedback, do they listen or do they withdraw and act wounded? Do they compare you to other people, always unfavorably, while acting like they're just noticing? Do you find yourself constantly doubting your own memory when you're around them? Do they hold you to rules they don't apply to themselves? The core truth. This is resentment, using suffering as a claim to superiority. They hide narcissism behind victimhood, and they blame you for their own impact on you. Real examples. The parent who says, "I gave up everything for you," while controlling every choice you make. The partner who seems wounded and gentle until you mess up, then silent treatment for weeks. The friend who's always there for people, but keeps a detailed mental scorebook of every favor. Here's what frees you. Recognizing this isn't cruelty, it's sanity. You can't save someone whose whole identity is being victimized by you. Setting boundaries isn't abandonment, it's survival. The sixth type, the ideological fanatic. If the covert narcissist twists your personal world, the ideological fanatic hijacks your entire moral world. The signs are unmistakable, purity tests disguised as principles. You either fully agree with the ideology or you're the enemy. No middle ground, no nuance, nothing, righteousness weaponized. They use moral certainty to shame and control, not to understand. Intellectual bullying. They use ideology to shut down conversations and make you feel stupid for disagreeing. The pattern, you question something. Instantly, you're accused of being immoral or complicit. The relationship ends or you surrender. The psychology. Their identity is completely fused with the ideology. Question the belief, and you're attacking them personally. There's no separation. It's narcissism disguised as moral clarity. I see the truth. Everyone else is either asleep or evil. It's anxiety management through absolute certainty. Nuance feels like a threat. Ambiguity is unbearable. Black and white is the only way they feel safe. At its core, it's the need for power. They control through moral authority instead of open dominance. Why does this destroy sensitive, giving people? Mental exhaustion, constant vigilance about what you say, endless purity tests, conditional love. They don't value you only for your agreement with their ideology. Your empathy gets weaponized. Your kindness is used to support their rigid worldview, and your growth is seen as betrayal. You can only stay in the relationship if you stop evolving. How do you spot them? The nuance test. Can they handle complexity? Or is it only us and them, right and wrong, nothing in between? Disagreement response. When you think differently, do they ask questions or do they attack you morally? What do they actually value in you? You as a person, or your agreement with their beliefs? Can you change and grow, or do they lose respect for you if you evolve your thinking? Do they see enemies? If everywhere you look there are bad people, that's their own rigidity projected outward. The core psychology, Jung would say they're possessed by ideology. Their sense of self is completely consumed by the belief system. They think in absolutes, can't hold complexity. Everything is black or white. It's narcissism dressed up as moral awakening. I see the truth. I'm enlightened. Everyone else is asleep. They project their own repressed doubt and fear onto enemies they see everywhere. Philosophically, it's the opposite of growth. It's ideology as a weapon for control. Psychologically, when ideology replaces selfhood, you get a dangerous person. It's totalitarianism in microcosm, absolute certainty crushing human freedom and complexity. The contrast, real principles, help you live better, allow disagreement, change when evidence shows you're wrong. Fanaticism, used to control others, demand conformity, ignore any evidence that challenges the ideology. Real examples, the friend who cut you off because you didn't use the correct words one time. The family member whose political beliefs became a loyalty test. Agree or you're evil. The co-worker who turns everything into an ideological sermon and purity check. What frees you? Setting boundaries with ideological control doesn't make you uncaring. It makes you sane. You can deeply believe in justice without surrendering to their intellectual tyranny. Protecting your own thinking from their moral police isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Now let's tie this all together. 6 types, 6 ways people drain you while looking needy. The victim who makes you feel guilty for having boundaries. The exploiter who uses you for everything without giving back. The self-saboteur who wastes your hope and time with endless analysis. The energy vampire who pretends to connect while draining you dry. The covert narcissist who twists reality and controls you through guilt. And the ideological fanatic who demands you surrender your own thinking. What connects them? Each one expects you to destroy yourself for their refusal to change. This isn't judgment, it's survival, it's wisdom, it's protection. What do you have now? First, clarity. You see what you couldn't see before. The patterns are obvious. You understand the game. Second, boundaries. Protecting your energy isn't cruelty, it's self-care. It's keeping yourself able to actually help people who deserve it. Third, power. You get to decide who gets your help. Not guilt, not manipulation, not obligation. You choose. Fourth, real connection. Saying no to these types clears space for people who actually reciprocate. Real connection, real care, Jung would say. You're integrating your own shadow, the part of you that attracted these people in the first place. Maybe you need to feel needed. Maybe you avoid your own work by fixing others. Maybe generosity is how you avoid being vulnerable. Nietzsche would say, the problem isn't helping, it's helping people who use your help to avoid growing. You're not supporting their transformation, you're enabling their stagnation. And spiritually, that loneliness you feel when you stop enabling them, that's not abandonment, that's clarity. You're making space for people who actually meet you halfway. Here's the truth that will set you free. Choosing wisely who you help doesn't weaken your compassion, it proves it. You're not abandoning broken people, you're refusing to enable their sickness. The most loving thing you can do is protect your own generosity from being weaponized. Help those who actually want to transform. For the rest, wish them well from a distance that keeps your light safe. So ask yourself, which of these 6 have you been helping? Leave a comment. Your awareness can wake someone else up. And subscribe for more psychology that honors your consciousness instead of shaming it. Because you deserve relationships that nourish, connections that flow both ways, and the freedom to protect the depth you bring to this world. Your light is too rare and too precious to waste on people who refuse to see it.